Oh, these gnats are killing me. Okay, let's try this now, shall we? This is so fun. Okay. Caleb.
Hey.
Hello.
All of it.
You got some background audience.
Huh?
There's some background audience.
What's up?
Whoa, nothing. We're just trying to get people back here. Oh, I think Clemens was watching.
Yeah, now Bruce is muted. Bruce, you get a call?
Did somebody call you, Bruce? Again? Again? I'm trying to add you right now, Teresa.
Hey, Amanda, I know last week or the week before someone kept saying that it was blanking out. Like it was actually doing that when I was just watching.
Like it's blipping?
Yeah.
Damn. I don't like it. I'm not a fan.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
Me neither.
We have not had any technical difficulties in a long time. And now the last couple of weeks, it's like...
Right? I'm not a fan. I don't like it. Okay. I can add her again. Saying it's trying to add you, Teresa.
Stuart Flagg, what's going on, my man?
Dude.
Hey, Amanda, real quick.
Sir.
Or anyone that's watching, do you know how do you make a post where it's shareable? Like if someone has a post that's like not shareable, like how do you make it?
Have them change the privacy to public.
That's it?
Should be. Okay.
I'm
trying to remember if there's some sort of toggle or drop down that makes it so it could say turn comments on or something along those lines. But mainly, if you make it public, it should be able to be shareable.
Yeah. Because William DeBose, actually, I told him to make it shareable, and I told him I'd tag him in this, trying to...
Yeah,
he's actually transporting a puppy tonight, so if anyone is looking for a transport of any sort from Alabama to Texas to Arkansas, anywhere in between, William DeBose is actually en route making that trip right now. I think he's picking up a puppy in Arkansas, then headed to Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
Bruce, did you put on airplane mode?
No, because I forgot about it.
I did not. Oh, she sent me a request. Oh God, is it happening? She was able to successfully send me a request, so let's see if it adds her. Please.
Bruce?
Oh.
Bruce, there you go.
At the cost of Bruce, we might hit
whammy.
Hey, you know what though, man? While she's adding, man, it's something I got to get with you guys about too. It's really, really important. And Amanda, it's really about you.
Oh shit.
It's nothing bad though. It's nothing bad.
Oh.
It's kind of like redemption. I'm gonna put it to you like this: redemption.
I did something that requires redemption. I don't know if that's actually better or worse.
Somebody else. Redemption.
Oh, hit me. What's up?
We ain't gonna talk about it on live. It's gonna have to be like
It's killing me, Bruce. The suspense is effing killing me. Ah, here we go. So let's see if we can add Jason in here, or add her via Jason's account.
There we
There we
go.
go.
Damn, it was
It's
Jason's phone
about
that I had to do
time.
it from, I guess. My phone
Victory!
was not having it.
Oh my God,
Hold on one
man! I
second.
almost gave up. I was like,
Now I
no.
gotta connect this phone because his phone's dying. So hold on one second.
Well, if it's not one thing,
Thank
it's
God he
another.
came home from work, because if not, I'd be over here ready to slam my laptop and all the other stuff on the floor. How's
Oh
everybody doing
mercy!
tonight?
Not bad, not bad. Other than obviously,
Well,
technical
other than the
difficulties.
technical difficulties that we were having,
Yeah,
I'm over here
everybody,
looking at my
everybody.
phone like, okay, it says join. I touch it, everything disappears. And I'm like, okay, it says join
Right.
again. I touch it again, everything disappears. Then it looked like he was lip syncing because I could see him talking, but was not
Oh,
happening.
me, we're so lucky.
I was like, oh Lord, I ain't never gonna get on there.
Oh man. Well, I'm glad we finally
Well, at
figured
least
it
we got
out.
it to work now, so that's all that
Right? Oh my
counts. That's all
man.
that counts.
That's all that counts. That's
Yep.
it. This is the victory we wanted. We're happy. We're happy.
Yeah, I know, right? It only took 28 minutes.
Right? Oh my God, I know it.
Jesus. Oh, Lord.
It is worth the
Mm-mm-mm.
Yeah.
wait. We are so thrilled to have you,
Fair.
Teresa.
Oh,
I'm
thank you
very,
so
very
much.
much looking
Thank
forward to
you.
talking to you tonight.
It's funny because I know that I've been kind of dodging it for a little while because I'm social, but I'm also shy. I might not look like it, but it's the truth. So I'll be like, "Did I- should I? No, no. Nobody wants to listen to me. You know what I
So
mean?
wrong. It's so
But
not what it is.
I'm happy to
No.
be here. I'm happy to be here.
Oh, well, we're happy to have
Right.
you. And again, I mean, we all share that sentiment. When we go to these shows and we see you there, and I've
Hmm.
had personal conversations with you about like the ideas that you have and the way
Yes.
you created things, the method,
Hmm.
man, I'm really excited about tonight for especially for the people that don't
Yeah.
know you yet,
Yes.
because they need to.
Hmm.
So this is all about getting you out there and
Yeah.
so what we like to do is we like to start with you introducing yourself
Okay.
and telling us what got you into Bullies and what you do.
Well, my name is Teresa Gonzalez, and I am the owner and operator of Strength and Dignity Bullies. And I also make leads for the shows. I have been in the dog community since my 20s, and I'm well in my 40s now, so I've been around a while. Um, Started just like everyone else, most of us started off with American Pit Bull Terriers and just loving the breed and the nice muscular dogs and stuff.
Yeah.
That was my passion, and when I moved from New York to Tennessee, I sat there and met a couple of people that were really into the American bullies, which
Yeah.
in New York I had never really seen any. In New York, everything's a pit bull at that time. So I was
Yeah.
sitting there
Yeah.
and went to a couple of shows down at the ballpark in Portland, and really loved the energy that I saw there, and really loved interacting with the people. And I after that it was a wrap. I still had my American Pit Bull Terriers that were well, into their senior years, and got my first bully, 15 years ago, and it's been a wrap for me ever since. Addicted. I thought I was addicted before, but it really addicted now. You know what I
Oh,
mean? It's just,
absolutely.
yeah, I mean, these dogs, they resonate with me so much as far as just the love that they provide. And there's a certain sense of stability that these dogs give that I don't think people really appreciate, because they're consistent. You know, um, it's one of those things that once you get them under your skin, you can't get them out even if you wanted to, which most people don't. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So,
Oh, yeah.
and I've always been very artistic with stuff. I used to make jewelry by hand, so I'd make earrings and necklaces and stuff like that. Love fooling around with beads. Now, when I started going to the shows and checking them out, I first started off just taking pictures for people. So
Yeah.
I'd be the little person you see running around everywhere, going and, oh, can I take a picture of your dog? Snap, snap, and going. I'm everywhere taking pictures for everyone, and that's how I learned who everyone was. I started learning like, okay, what's your name? Following people, And from there, it's just become a whole different thing. I sat there and I transferred my love of my jewelry and stuff into doing the stuff with the dogs. When I started sitting there and having to make leads for my own dog, because when I started, everyone told me, okay, start off with a snake chain. This is what you're supposed to use. This is how you're supposed to do,
Yeah.
your stuff in the ring and stack and things like that. My boy hated it. He did not like his snake chain, and I was like, I don't know what to do. And I sat there and tried to figure some things out, fool around with some paracord. Was like, I love beads, I love color, so I sat there and took a chain and tried to figure out a way to make him something that was comfortable. And
Wow.
after that, I started going to shows, and people were like, "Oh, that's so nice. Where'd you get that?" And they saw that he was doing good with it. Like, he did a 360. He went from completely sucking and being horrible at everything.
I love the
to,
transparency there. But yeah,
no,
it was
because
sucking.
I mean, he was at home. He would be great. I'd work with him with a regular collar and a leash, and he'd do fantastic. And then we get to the show, and it wasn't because he was shy, because he's not. He's a social butterfly. But when I would take him to the shows, they'd just be like, okay, we can't do anything with this. Here's a third. You know
Yeah,
what I
not
mean? And
today,
I was like,
lady.
oh, I don't know if this is for us, but sat there and went home and started fooling around with stuff and figured out what would be comfortable for him and still functional the way I needed it to be. And started
I
messing
love
around
that.
with that. And, before you know it, I'm going to the shows and people are seeing how good he's doing with his leads. And after that, they were like, hey, so where'd you get that? And I was like, I didn't get it from anywhere. I made it myself. What do you mean? They were like, oh, are you going to this show? Can you bring me one? And then one became five, and then five became 15. And then after that, I was like, well, I guess I figured out what the hell I'm going to do. Because, this is just
I love that.
this is just a thing. And I
Mhm.
loved meeting the people and talking to the people, because everybody's so passionate about their dogs. Like, when I sit there and I have my setup, they come, they talk to me, and they're like, oh yeah, he likes this, oh, this doesn't work for him. And I sit there and I listen to them, and I take in everything that they say, and I
Yeah.
try to mold my leads to fit their needs. Like, whenever somebody comes and they tell me things, I'm like, okay, it goes in the vault, and I'm like, all right, this is something I need to fool around with to see if I can
Yeah.
find something that's going to work for them. Because if one person asks, there's quite a few other people
I
that
love that.
probably need the same thing.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
I'll
Right.
sit there and I'll fiddle and come up with something else. And before you know it, it's something that does really well at the shows. But the joy is really seeing people handling their dogs, seeing them
Yeah.
go from struggling to not struggling, from the dog being uncomfortable to being comfortable. Because I don't think
Hmm.
that a lot of people really realize how important that is when you're showing. Your
Oh
dog has
yeah.
to be able to breathe. Your dog has to be able to feel comfortable. Your
Hmm.
dog has to be able to feel like, okay, this is not something that is unpleasurable and it's hurting me.
Yeah. It's not
They
being
have to be
forced. It's
comfortable.
yeah.
That, like, people don't really realize that. I see a lot of people that'll go to the shows and they've got the wrong type of lead for their type of dog. And
Agreed. Absolutely.
they are yanking
Absolutely.
them around, and they're wondering why the dog is hacking and throwing up phlegm balls in the middle of the ring. And
Yeah.
Or
you
just
know
not wanting to go at all.
yeah,
Absolutely.
and then
Yeah.
they come to me, and I've got a lead that's great for their specific type of breed. Like, those smash face breeds, you put the wrong lead on those dogs, and they already have a smash face. Their nares might
Yeah.
be a little tight.
Hmm.
And you sit there and you look at them, and they're struggling with the lead that you have on them at the time,
Yeah.
where you could sit there and put something on them. Like, for example, I always encourage everybody, go ahead and get one that's nice and soft. You don't
Yes.
want to put too much pressure on the esophagus and the trachea. You don't want them gagging. You don't want them hacking and coughing. You want
Right.
comfort, but you still want functionality. And
Yeah.
so, the shorty bulls, the Frenchies, the micro
Yep.
exotics, those
Oh, for
babies,
sure.
they need specific things. And so, I sit there and I watch people when they're in the ring, and I see what those dogs need. And I'll tell them straight up, listen, I have stuff that's on my table that's $45. I got stuff on my table that's $35. I could easily be like, oh yeah, the $45 one is the best one. You don't need to look at anything else. I'm straight. I'll be like, honey, I know that you're looking at that, and I know that that's what you like. But
Right.
if you really want to do good, get this one. You know what I
I
mean?
Love
love
Because
that.
this is what your dog needs. I want
Well,
to see everyone, I want to see everybody succeed because, you know, more than just the money aspect of it, it's the fact that in a small, tiny way, yeah, you did the work, you trained them, you did all that stuff. That's my little tiny contribution to you doing what you've got to do in that ring and representing yourself well. And by you
it's
representing
not a
yourself
tiny
well,
contribution.
you know what I'm
That's the
saying?
best part. It's not
No,
a
it
tiny
is. It's
contribution.
it to me. It's a tiny little thing, but in a way, I'm like, haha, that's my stuff.
My
You rock it. You do it. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying?
Well,
You know?
and here's the thing. It's like I remember one of the first
Mhm.
times that I actually got to meet you. I
Yeah.
want to say it was at a Troy show.
Yes.
This
At the
was years
Cattlemen's.
ago.
At the
Yeah.
Cattlemen's. Mm-hmm.
And I remember watching you go through the whole rigmarole with
Oh yes.
with this
Oh
client
yeah.
who
Listen, that thing is embedded in my mind now. I could spit all of it without even thinking because I
yeah,
say
and
it
they
so
like
much.
they're just go like they couldn't figure out why their dog didn't like it because they had that snake lead, and you're just like, listen, let's
Mm-hmm.
try a couple other things. I know you're kind of nervous about it because everyone's told you that this
Yes.
particular lead is the way to go, and so
Yeah.
you're trying on new leads and
Yeah.
having them go around it, and it's like you're getting them more comfortable as well as
Yeah.
obviously making the dog more comfortable. And
Yeah.
so by the end of it, they go in the ring and they have this confidence that they didn't have
Yes.
before
Yeah. And I love
because
when I
they know,
see that.
yeah.
I
Oh,
love
I
when I see that because a lot of people I meet, a lot of them are first timers and they're like, I have
yep,
no idea what I'm doing. I'm I'm as green as a leaf. I don't know what's going on. And I sit there and I tell them, well, if you want something that's gonna work for your dog, this might be better.
yeah,
Um, it's one of the things that, I like to sit there and actually talk to the people and
yes,
try to give them as much information and empower them as much as I can in a situation where it's new to them. And whenever
hmm,
something's new to you, you don't feel like you have much power. You're scared. You're like, okay, I don't know what I'm doing here. You know what I mean? Like, I just know I want to try this.
right.
To see
And
them,
at this point, my dog is not happy. Like, how can I make my
yeah,
dog happy? Because I'm
yeah,
already freaking out. Now I'm freaking out
yeah.
more. It's like,
hmm And I feel like I kind of take a little bit of the edge off of it. And I'm like, listen, honey,
agree.
there's a everybody starts somewhere. You don't have to worry. Go out there, do your best. It's about you and the dog. Don't worry about if you come out first. You're just starting. Don't worry if you come out first, second, or third. Connect with your dog. Let the
Yes,
judges see that you guys are locked in. Everything else will come. Everything else will come.
love that. I
And
love that.
especially when you love them the way that people at the shows, you can tell they love their dogs. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And so you sit
Mhm.
there, you see two dogs that are like, you see a dog and a handler that are like truly locked in.
Oh
The
yeah,
rest of everything else disappears, and it's just you and the dog. That connection that they have, you see it. It's apparent. To be able to provide leads for people that have that, it's it's nice because I'm the little connection that they have in the ring. You
I
know.
dig it. I truly dig it.
So
Adam has a great question. It was the question that we were all obviously
okay,
gonna ask you. He
yeah.
said, "What are the different options of leads that you provide, and
Okay, so
how do you know, like,
mhm.
when you're talking to a client, like, how do you know or determine what's best for that customer out of the ones that you have?"
Okay, so there's a couple of things that I take into account whenever I recommend a lead to someone. So, like I said before, if you own a smash face breed, 90% of the time I'm gonna suggest the soft.
Mhm.
And the reason for that is because since they already have a very smushed face, you already know that their breathing is a little different than, let's say, a longer face dog. There's less capacity. So the last thing you want to do is add another problem to less capacity to be able to intake air. So when you're sitting there using a snake chain, for example, and your dog is a puller, let's say you've got a little micro exotic that thinks he's
Mhm.
an XL and wants to pull and sit there and act like a big dog, but you've got a snake chain on. What is that snake chain doing? That snake chain is sitting there and is digging
Yeah.
into his throat. I
Mhm.
show people like this all the time. I said, when you have a snake chain, if your dog is sitting there and he's pulling, if you go like this to yourself for just a little bit and let go, You see that?
Yeah.
Okay. That's just a couple of seconds. Your dog is sitting there pulling, yanking, doing all sorts of stuff the whole time. What do you
Ugh.
think that's doing to their throat? How is your
Ugh.
dog supposed to perform the way you want it to perform if half the time that it's on that lead,
It's in pain.
it's cutting itself off from its oxygen?
Hmm.
So you want something that's going to be gentle on the throat, but still be able to have the control that you need to keep the dog where it needs to be, and for it to be able to perform to its best, potential possible. Um, Another thing that I look at, for example, with bigger dogs, they've got the power to pull. And just
Yeah.
because, let's say your dog is great and, walks really good on a leash and a lead, doesn't mean that that's going to be the case 100% of the times, because, sometimes dogs do sit there and they get in each other's face and they will buck up to each other.
Yep.
Now, if I have you using one of these and you've got a 160-pound XL that decides that he's got beef with his neighbor, it might be a problem. It might be a
Yep.
problem. So I suggest something that has more stability to it. You want something that is a little thicker, that can handle that pressure being put on it. And so, I'll tell people that have a thicker dog, a heavier dog, or one that they know, I'll ask them straight up, is your baby a puller? Because if he's a puller, this is what you want. And even if he's not a puller, if he has the ability to sit there and, you know, send you for a ride, if he decides he wants to chase after something, then this might be your best bet.
Mm.
I sit there and I look at each dog. I will get up, I'll look at them, I'll be like, okay, I look at how they're breathing when they come to me. Um, there's a lot of things that I look for, and based off of that, I sit there and, you know, I assess it from there. But and I have some people that'll sit there and they'll say, "Oh, I want to use my lead as an everyday, like I want to use it as a leash."
Right.
I'm not. I won't tell them not to, but I'm like, my thing is, when I put my lead on my dog knows it's time to work.
Yep.
So,
There we go.
you know what I
Yep.
mean? Like this is the nonverbal message that it's time to work. I put this on you. We finna do some stuff.
Right.
So, I always encourage people, use your lead when you are going to work your dog. You're going to sit there and you're going to practice, put the lead on. If you're going for a regular walk just to go around the neighborhood, put your regular stuff on. You don't need this.
Right. Make sure that it's different. Yes.
One thing I do tell people though, and I'm very adamant about, I don't like body harnesses, because body harnesses are for pulling. So if you don't want your baby to sit there and be pulling you all the time and to have this act right where it needs to be, don't don't put body harnesses on, unless you've got like a service dog. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because then that's
Harnesses,
acceptable.
yeah, are
But
not a universal thing. I
yeah,
wholeheartedly agree.
yeah. So, but I mean, there's a lot of things I look at. Overall, the priority for me is what is going to be best for that dog. The rest of the stuff is secondary. I could care
Yeah.
less.
Well, and it becomes academic at that point because, like, once
Mm-hmm.
you find out what's going to be not just comfortable for the dog, it's
Yeah.
going to give them the not just the feel, but it's also going to put them into work mode.
Yeah.
Um, it's going to make the person way more comfortable knowing that their dog is obviously not in pain.
Yeah.
Going to be more compliant. That
Mm-hmm.
puts their confidence up, which
Yeah.
again goes right down the lead. We've said it a million times that like
Mm-hmm.
the way that you feel goes down that lead. And if you
Oh yeah.
already know preemptively that your
Mm-hmm.
dog is on point because the lead is the right lead that you have,
Yes. Yeah.
then you're going to be on point. So
Yeah.
it's,
A
yeah,
lot of
it is
people don't take into
absolutely
account how much the wrong lead can inhibit
true.
you from getting where you want to go
Oh,
with your
absolutely.
dog. Because like I said, when I first started, me and Max, I tried the snake chains. I really did. I went to like 3 shows before I was like, okay, this is just not working. He is not acting the same way at home as he is
Yeah.
at the shows. And it
Yeah.
wasn't a comfort thing, because he was totally comfortable. He was good with the judges touching him. He was good
Yeah.
with them
He
checking his
just,
teeth,
this
everything.
just wasn't working
But
for him.
in the ring, he was hacking and coughing and just
Mm.
looked uncomfortable. And then, I'm using the leads, and I think that's another thing that people don't take into account. Like, so these snake chains, they move in a certain type of way. And if you watch them, the little links interlock with each other. So if you're sitting there and you're pulling on it, so that way you can get the dog to go in a certain direction. You might be pulling hairs out and doing all
Yes.
sorts of stuff,
Yeah.
and that's uncomfortable. You have to have the
Mhm.
right stuff. And so that's why I have so many different options.
You
I
do.
have a little bit of something for everybody on my table. You come to my table and you're like, Jesus Christ, what the hell is. Yeah,
Mhm.
because
Like,
everybody needs something different. You know
you
what
have
I
more
mean?
than one table. That's the beauty of
Yeah.
it. Like you have more than one table, and it's
Listen,
yeah.
before I started off with just the one. And I used to look at my table like, wow, it's really full. This is a lot of stuff. And now I've got two, and I'm like, God help me, I almost need a third. And I'm like, leaving stuff in the box. Like, okay, we're not putting
Shifted.
this out. We're not putting that out. People are like, oh, do you have these leads? I'm like, oh, the O-ring ones? Yeah, I got them put away. They're like, why are they not out? There's no space. I have options. I have lots of options, but
Oh my
I
gosh.
think that's great because I've literally had people come up to my table that have multiple dogs they're showing. So like, let's say they'll have their little Frenchie and they have their pocket bully, and the husband's brought the XL, and everybody needs something different. You see them to come out with a soft
Hmm.
lead, and one's got a snake chain and the other one's got one of the martingale style ones with the chain.
Yep.
And it's nice to be able to feel like I'm contributing and being able to make each of those dogs have a good experience when they go in the ring. That's just important, and it
Oh,
it adds to the customers, um, to their joy when they sit there and they have the tools that they need to be able to show their dogs the right way.
oh, for
You know,
sure. Now,
so I mean,
Absolutely.
out of the ones that you
Bruce,
have,
you're muted.
oh, yeah,
Bruce,
Bruce,
you're
if you're
muted.
talking, you're muted, baby. One of my questions is I was curious as far as the ones that because again you have multiple types.
yeah.
What seems to be your best seller, and why do you think that is?
I think right now, um, now if you'd have asked me this question like 3 years ago, I would have told you without a doubt it's the martingale style ones with the chain.
Yeah.
Now it's the soft ones, and
Mm.
it's because there has been a really huge shift at the shows where I went from seeing a handful of Frenchies when I first started to now there's Frenchies everywhere. There's French fries everywhere at the
Of
show.
course.
You know what I mean? From the
Everywhere.
fluffies to just everything you can imagine. Like the ones with the big rope on their face, the velvets, and
Yeah.
the just
Hmm.
there's all sorts of Frenchies everywhere. And so now the shift has become that, and also I feel like the shift has also turned to the soft. There's a lot more people than I remember before bringing their kids. And
Oh.
these are from all the leads that I have, I tell people all the time, I ask them, do you have any juniors? And they're like, yeah, I have, my daughter is, just started. And I'm like, okay, so for your little one, the soft is probably the easiest lead that your child is going to put their hands on.
Hmm.
I can make them as small. I have made some. I'm talking about some microscopic little baby ones, soft ones. I'm talking about they're little. But because some people bring their 3-year-olds, and
Hmm.
God help little 3-year-old, but this is the
Yeah.
life of a 3-year-old. So I make little ones. I do the custom work for them, and I've seen a lot of people bring their kids. The junior handler classes are fat now in comparison to when I first started. And
Oh yeah.
so I've seen that increase where more people are like, I bought one soft one from you. I think you were in Ohio or something like that. And I was trying to find you and I couldn't find your stuff. And I'm so happy you're here. I need like 2 more. And I'm like, all right, well, I got you. What are you looking for? You know? And it's just, that's been the shift. Before it was the martingale style with the chain. And now
Yeah.
it's definitely the soft. It's
Yeah.
definitely the
See, I
soft.
see a lot of those on your table for sure. Like
Yeah.
there now, I've seen some people have been using. Oh, what is it? Is it called kangaroo?
Yes. Yeah, they use the kangaroo leather
Yeah, is that something that
leads.
you like,
I
or
don't I don't dabble in. Okay. So the reason why I don't dabble in that is because I'm really old school. So some people will sit there and they will make those kind of leads and they just order the stuff that's already stripped. I have sat there and watched videos where I'm like, if I make some leather leads, I want to buy a hunk of leather and sit there and carve the strings out myself because I'm real specific with stuff. So I want to sit there and like micromanage the whole thing. We finna make the string. We finna do everything. And I know me. When I start a new project and I start delving in new stuff, it becomes an obsession. And so I'm so devoted to doing this, and this works so well that I don't want to add anything else to my plate because
Yeah.
then it'll just be one of those things where I'm like, okay, so I have to separate this time to do these, and then I have to separate this time to do those. And
Yeah.
while I'm doing all that, this is going on in the background.
Right. I still have
Yeah.
all
You know
these
what I'm
things I'm
saying?
still trying to do on top of
Wow.
that.
Yeah, because I also sit there and I make little 3D figurines for the kids to fool around with.
Saw
Because
that.
I you don't understand. I have had times where the kids have come to my table and they see all this blingy, shiny beautifulness on top of the table, and they're like,
Something for
"Mommy, I
me.
want one." And then mommy finds out that they're $45, and mommy's like, "Mm-mm." And then there's a child that's having a mutiny. And so I try to bring
Full
little
meltdown.
things. I try to bring little things so that, there's something for the kids. So I sit there and I'll make little stuff like I made this today. I sat there and hold on, I'll show you. So I've had a
Oh
bunch of
yeah.
little kids ask me for sharks. So I made a little hammerhead shark.
That's
And I
so
sell little
cool.
things like this at my table too. So that way the kids have something to play with. You'll see them running around flailing these, and
I saw
it's
those at
something for
Louisville.
them
Yeah.
too. You know what I mean?
Oh
So I'm
yeah.
Everyone
like,
leaves happy.
yeah, everybody's happy. The kids come over and harass the parents, like, okay, I need this toy and this toy and this toy. And the parents are looking at the leads. And it's a happy medium for everybody.
I know, I
you know.
wholeheartedly agree. And I noticed that you brought those out. I mean, it wasn't like super, super recent, but
Yeah.
at Louisville and then the last Troy show that I had
Yeah.
seen you at, like I just noticed that you'd started to create these 3D printed like
Yeah,
toys
little
for
figurines. I call
children.
them
I
the
was like, oh,
figurines. Yeah.
that's
And
clever.
it's just something, you always want to be a little different from what everybody else is doing. And, there are other people that make leads. I've been doing this, I've been making the leads for a really long time. And as I've been doing it, my leads have changed. I try to adjust to what I hear are the needs the most. So I sit there and like I said, I listen. Um, Before I was just doing my martingale style leads, and it was just beads. I wasn't adding anything else to it. And
Right.
I was getting people asking me, can I get just something else for a little extra support? So I sat there and I added the paracord so that way, if they
Yep.
wanted to, if you didn't want the beads to be at the bottom to hold the neck, and support
Yeah.
the
It's like
dog,
it's multi.
you
Yeah.
could
It's
sit there and space it
broader.
out, which makes it
Mm-hmm.
look pretty because you've got the little focal point in the middle. So you're, gating around the ring. I do everything in a pattern so that way you can sit there if you wanted to and look extra bougie and sit there and, separate it so that it
Yeah.
looks extra pretty. If you know that your dog is a puller, then of course you put them on lockdown and you use the whole thing, but you can still do everything you need to do and look really, really nice doing it. People love to sit there and promote their dogs with pictures and videos. And it's just that little extra thing that kind of like differentiates you from the
Yeah.
rest of what everyone
Mm-hmm.
else is doing. Sometimes, like, I'll be scrolling through Facebook and I'm like, oh, that's mine. I saw that one. I remember the person. I remember where they bought it. And
Yes.
I'll get people that have bought from me from before, and it's been years. And they're like,
Mm-hmm.
my lead finally copped out after 4 years. And I'm like, oh, I got you. And I'll sit there and I'll redo the handle and make it brand new. I'll do what I have to do. This last
Yeah.
show, I had
Hey,
like,
so you mean they got a 4-year warranty?
oh, well, they probably got a little bit more than that because if you catch me at a show and it's busted, like what I get a lot is, there's a lot of wear and tear. And so like,
Yeah.
you use it constantly. You're training your dog. You're training more than one dog. I
Yes.
tell people all the time. So, for example, you can use this end, and I tell people this is great for your adults when you're at the show. But let's say you've got little puppies that you're promoting to try to sell. I tell people go ahead and grab it, take it, push the bees down this way. This is nice and soft. This is the same
Yeah.
concept as a
Ah,
scruffy. So you go ahead and you
Yeah.
put it on your pup, let's say you're trying to make some sales. This is going to disappear underneath their face. So you're not even
Mm-hmm.
going to really see this unless they're sideways.
Right.
And so when you're posting up your puppies, here you go. That's all you see is the little bling. Sometimes that's the thing that'll catch somebody and they'll be like, "Ooh, oh, it's like, oh, that's so cute. It looks so nice. Oh, that puppy's really nice."
And now they're
You
looking at
know,
the dog. Yeah.
You're
whatever,
right.
listen, whatever
Yeah.
helps. But before I used to never put the little extra. Like I said, I sit there and I listen to all of the concerns. Some people are like, is it possible for you to get a even thicker chain? And I'm like, well, this is this is pretty thick. I mean, if you compare the ones that I had before, like that's a difference.
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
got ones that are thicker now, and I brought them with me to Alabama. Came home with one out of
Yeah.
like 15. Because
All
as soon as
right.
they saw it, they were
Yeah.
like, "Ooh, I like that." I was like, "Mm-hmm." I was like,
Yeah.
"Yep." I've had enough people ask me that. Like I said, I start researching stuff and looking into things, and I try to find the best options for what people need. I like being
Yeah.
able to provide that for them because, a lot of people will sit there and they'll be like, "Oh, it's so hard to find the right thing." I encourage people to come over to the table, try it out. Make sure you're comfortable. Make sure your dog is comfortable.
I
I want
love
to
that.
Yep.
see you guys move. Go ahead. Take
Yep.
it, walk up and down. If you're comfortable, then go ahead and, you pay for it. If it's not the right thing, I'll
Just try
tell them,
something.
try something else, or maybe I'm just not the person to, get your stuff from. But I mean, most of the times they'll come to my table and they'll leave with something that they feel happy about, that they've, invested the money. Because ultimately, it's an investment in their dog and an investment in the movement that they're trying to make together. And
Oh,
so,
absolutely. For
you
sure.
know,
Yeah. Do
it's
you do
good.
you find that like different so you were talking about the last time that you came to Alabama and how like uh Albanians seem to really kind of focus on one product that you have. Do you
Yeah.
find that that is a trend with other states and other regions where like you're like, okay, if I'm going to Kentucky
Yeah.
or I'm going to Oklahoma or whatever the case
hmm
may be, but like do you change kind of like the amount of certain products that you bring based on where you're
So
going?
I carry with a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
My car right now is full. I have, them big old toolboxes that are on
Yep.
wheels that have three different compartments from like
Yeah.
Home Depot. That
Yeah.
Yes.
sucker's full. I got boxes, the
Mm.
plastic boxes with the clips. Those are full. And then there's bags of stuff. I have a lot of stuff. I
Woo.
carry with everything. I'm a pack rat. But I will sit there and I'll kind of make a note in my head what things do really good in certain places and what stuff doesn't.
Yeah.
And I'll put some out, but I might not drop as much as I did, let's say, in another spot because I know I'm like, okay, they really not too focused on this. They're more
Right.
focused on that. Or if I
Yeah.
know I'm gonna go to a show, I sit there and I keep tabs on everything that I make. And then when I come home, I see, what I've
You
sold
take a
and
tally,
what
yeah.
I need to focus my energy on to have more of, to provide more options. Um, sometimes my 3D stuff is a really big hit, and other times I get like one or two people that come over and they're like, "Oh, that's so cute," and then
Yes,
they
sir.
migrate over to to the other side of the table and they're grabbing their stuff. You know what I mean? And then there's
Yeah.
other times where like I go to the show, and like for example, the pull up or shut up,
Yeah, mobile.
I felt robbed. My 3D stuff was gone. It was
Yeah, I
it
thought
was
I heard that
full.
right because you were just like, "There's nothing to pack." Like there was like this
I
one.
was
It's
like, you
the only one
okay?
left.
So I had a box that I had to put a very thin blanket on top of so that the stuff in there would stay put. I had to add blankets because all my 3D stuff was gone. My soft leads, I came home with less than half of those, and I
Damn.
had
Wow.
made like 60. I was
Yeah.
like, I said, damn, my fingers gonna be blown out because I'm gonna be sitting here braiding like crazy to make up for all this stuff that's gone.
Jeez
But I
Louise.
love it. I love it. I love seeing how the enthusiasm I see when people come to my table. They're like, "Oh my god, I've been wanting to run into you. I finally caught you.
Yes.
And I'm like,
Yeah, I've heard of
dang.
you. I've heard of
You
you.
know?
Or like I've
They,
been to shows where you're at, but I never made it to your table. And
yeah,
oh,
they're like, I
wow.
finally got you. And I'm over here sitting like a Pokemon, like, oh, she's scaring the shit out of me. But, you know what I'm saying? Like, but it's just one of those things to see how enthusiastic people get. They're like, finally, I'm gonna get to get one of these things that I need.
Mhm.
And then they try them out. I get people that will go in the ring, do fantastic. And they come back and they're like, it was the lead. And I'm like, you know, 'cause it's just like, you know, I just find it's so cool to me to get that kind of energy, you know, back, because I pump a lot of myself into my leads. I really do love what I do. I really do love creating things, and you know, I get a vision. Sometimes I'll get motivated one little bead, and I'll be like, "Ooh, I can make something this," and before you know it, I make a pattern, and I sit there and I think of all the stuff, and I see the finished product. You don't know how many leads I've been wanting to keep for myself. If I kept all the leads that I wanted for myself, oh my god! But you know,
Oh, yeah,
it's
Packer. Oh, my God.
but it's just one of those things where you know you see how happy people get, and then you see their reaction when they do good, and they feel the difference. You know, that's the best to me when they tell me that they feel the difference. They're like, oh, I feel like I have so much more control now. That's the affirmation that I need, that I'm doing the right thing. I'm doing it right.
100%.
You know,
Absolutely. Yeah. And
so I
it's,
love that.
and the thing is, just like, while the, the design overall is similar with, you know, certain products that
Yeah.
you're making and selling,
Hmm.
individually they're so very different because you are throwing different
Yes.
color elements, bead elements, like you are making everything so unique that people are never going to walk in the ring and have bitch stole my look. Like there's
Yeah.
never going to be
No.
that
Yeah,
problem.
and I really do strive for that. I try to. I might have a very similar color scheme, but you will
Hmm.
never grab two leads that have the exact same
Right.
pattern, everything. I'm talking about the paracord. Everything is not going to be exactly the same. His collection. You
Nakaya,
don't know
every
how many
time she sees
pictures like
Teresa, she
that.
gets one. Every
Dude,
time.
I know. And
Yeah.
she
I
gets so
mean,
happy when she sees me too. She's like, yes. And I get it, because it's just cool. It's cool to have, you know, these are the tricks of the trade. These are your little tools that you use to be great. You know what I mean? And it's
mhm.
nice to have variety. You know, listen, as a girl, you know you gotta have variety. It's just that it's a given. But you know, to be able to sit there and say, all right, we're gonna do a photo shoot today. You're gonna match me. I'm wearing red and black. Grab your red and black one, and you're out the
Yep.
door. You know, it's
Oh
just
yeah. Oh
it's
yeah.
cool. You know, it's a nice thing to be able to just do. Like, you
Well,
know,
yeah.
I love, like I said, I love seeing. I mean, I've had people take pictures of their outfits that they're gonna rock. Like, let's say, nationals. They know what
Yes.
they're gonna wear, and they're like,
Yep.
okay, so I'm getting ready for nationals. This is what I'm gonna wear. The dog's gotta match me. I'm like, I
I
Yep.
got
love
you.
it.
What
You
you got?
know,
Yeah.
yeah, you know, and I'll sit there and I'll make stuff. And if I, for whatever reason, can't make it to that particular nationals or whatever, I'll ship it. But if I'm going, I'm like, I'll meet you there. Come to the table. You grab your stuff. I'll give it to you in your hand.
I
You
love
know,
that. Well, and I
yeah.
remember,
So.
like it was one of the Troy shows.
Mhm.
Again, I mean, we always run into each other at Troy, which I thoroughly enjoy. I remember
Yeah.
actually being at the table, and I can't remember if it was with Caleb or Nakaya, but I had I bought one of your leads
Yeah.
because gosh, was it? I can't remember if it was might have been Adonis.
Mhm.
And that I had with me, my big guy, and he's lilac. So I wanted something that had a very stark contrast and very
Mhm.
bright colors, no
Mhm.
pastels. And so it was a red, black, gray, and white
Mhm.
woven lead.
Yeah.
And I just remember, like, right as soon as I bought it, it might have been you, Caleb. Like, you walked up and you're like, oh man, those are our colors. Dang it, I barely,
Yeah. You're
And
like,
I
I
just
didn't see
actually,
that one. I should have got it first.
right. And and here's what's funny is just like within like just a few minutes after that, I went over and because I knew that he purchased another lead that had some red in it and everything like that. And I was just like, well, red's the color that was affiliated with Adonis's mother. And that's why we were rocking it as she had recently passed at that point. So it was kind of a sentimental thing for me. But like, I was just like, you know what, this lead, because they were going for the grand champion at that day, I think.
Yeah.
And I can't, was it IC, was the grand champion in IC Bear, Gail? I can't remember.
Might have been
But you were going for the title,
Yeah.
the big one. And I remember thinking, you know what? These are your colors. You show right. So we traded, and so I still use the
I didn't know
one
that.
that I traded from them, and they used that one for Genesis, and he
That's
actually
hilarious. Y'all
he
did the
got that title that
switcheroo. I
day.
see. Okay.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
cool
he
though.
got that
You know
title
what I
that day
mean?
with your lead.
But I get people that will buy a lead off of my table, and somebody else will come up and they'll be like, "No, that's the one that I
Damn.
wanted. I was coming to get it." And they'll be like, "Can you pick something else?" And the person's like, "Wait a minute, what?" Like,
Mhm.
please, please just pick another one. I want that one. That's the one I
Oh
want.
yeah.
I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
it's cool. You know, it's just like I said, it's something that I find it really, really expressive in an area where you want to be as expressive as possible. I think what
Yes.
sits there and gets you attention in this is, you know, being flashy, being, you know, confident in what you're putting out there, standing by your stuff
Yep.
wholeheartedly. You know,
Mhm.
if you're not jumping in the ring feeling like you've got the best thing since sliced bread at the end of your lead, then you're not in the right place. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
You're
you
right.
want to be as expressive as possible. You
Yes.
want what you're presenting to be the best representation of you, and that's what I try to pump into making my leads. I want it to be the best representation possible of not only the person but the dog,
I
and
love that.
you know, and just for the dog to be able to function as comfortably as possible and give you everything it's got. Because I mean, that's what these dogs do. They sit there and they'll give you everything. They'll leave nothing for themselves.
Yep.
Yep.
um you know, and so you want that tool, that little tether that connects you guys to being that thing that everybody's like, man, they're so locked in, it's beautiful. You know what I
Yes.
mean? I love that. I watch, the people don't understand. I watch everybody as I'm, you know, I get busy, but I watch. And when it's undeniable, when that little tether, that lead, you see that connection, that's what it is. It's the extension of the love that you have in here, connecting your dog so that you guys can move in unison. And
I
it's
love
a
Mm-hmm.
that.
beautiful thing. I'm, like I said, I'm passionate about what I do. I love it. I love seeing the connection. I love
Blatantly.
seeing
Yeah,
the
you are
happiness,
very passionate.
you
Very, very
know.
passionate. And
Hey, and
yeah,
huge shout out to your husband. I love your husband. I love seeing
He
him. He
is
is so
the
cool.
listen, this November will be 28 years.
Wow.
Me and him have been locked in since I was 14 and a half. So yeah,
Dang.
yeah, we've been together a long time. He is without a doubt one of the most sweetest, even though he
He
got a
has
resting bitch
RBF. I
face
remember you
like
saying
there's
that.
no tomorrow. When you look at Jason looked like he mean as hell. But
He says it. He does his
he
RBF.
has a
Listen.
heart of gold. He is the sweetest, most caring person. He's always like, and he is super duper supportive of what I do. Like, he sees sometimes where I get frustrated because I'm not gonna lie, sometimes I get overwhelmed because, you know,
Yeah.
I have people hitting me up and they'll
Well,
ask me for some stuff. And, you know, I deal with, you know, personal health things it's been a struggle. And
yeah.
I've not been a very healthy person for a long time. I've always had health issues. But this last couple of years is really, it's
Yeah.
the Lord has really been like, I'm gonna give you some tests. Let's see how you do. But you know, he's always rock solid, supports everything I do. If he sees that I'm like, I really want to do this, he's like, okay, so what do we have to do? You
How
know,
do I make it
he's
happen?
just, yeah, like he's like, I'll make it happen. He's like, I got to take a day off. I got to leave work early. We got to do this. We got to do
Everything.
that. You know, let's go. We're renting a car. We're getting a hotel. Okay. You know, it is what it is. So we go and you know,
Oh
and
man, I love it.
he loves being in the environment. He loves seeing me interact with the people. It's like I said,
Oh yeah.
he's not super social. He loves you,
Yeah.
Caleb. He thinks you're the best thing since sliced bread.
I
Like,
love him.
but like, you know, he's usually the one in the back. Like when you go to try to take pictures of this man, ask Nakaya. He'll hide. He gone. Like Roadrunner, gone. You know what I'm saying? He was like, you know, but he just, you know, he loves watching what I do. He loves seeing the
Mhm.
dogs in the ring do good
Yes.
too. And
Yeah.
he wasn't a dog person. Trust me. When we first got together, I was like, oh, I want to get all these tats and I want to do that. And he was just like, mm-mm. And now the dogs are our babies, and he has some that are just his. And you know, it's like,
It
you
happens.
know, he won't show them, but he loves them. He helps me take care of them, and you know, like it's a thing. Like I said, I'm so passionate about it that it's kind of spilled over. It's our passion, and he loves seeing me go to the shows. And you know, at the end of the day, when I get home and I feel beat up, I'm like, you know, ready to go to bed, and I'm tired, but I'm satisfied because we had a
Yeah.
good day.
It's
I got
fulfilled.
to meet
It's
people. We
fulfilled.
sit there and we talk about the people that we've met, who we've had conversations with. You know, just you know, you start to really start looking at people like their family. And
Mhm.
you know, I've been doing this a very long time, and you know, there's a lot of negativity that floats around in every facet of you know, uh life possible. But you know, when it comes to the shows, you know, there's a lot of negativity that floats around. People
Yes.
criticize and they get mad, and you know,
Yep.
some people are good at, you know, just compartmentalizing stuff and not really being messy and throwing stuff out there. And other
Right.
people, messy is their middle name, and
Live. Yeah, they thrive
they
off the
love it.
chaos.
You
Yeah, they
know,
thrive off of it.
and so in an environment like that, you know, you have to try to find the best and most possible way
Mhm.
to deal with stuff. I try not to be messy. I try not to get into stuff. I want to be as positive as possible. I want to sit there
Yeah.
and, you know, promote people. Listen, feel good about what you're doing. Feel
Mhm.
good about your dogs.
Oh
Sit
yeah,
there
you're always a
and
joy.
come out to these shows. Make
Yeah.
those connections. Make those relationships. Learn the people that you
Mhm.
are in your community. Because if you sit there and you think about it, you know, a lot of times people go to the shows and you'll see them, they'll be a little standoffish and they're kind of to themselves. More and more you go to the shows, the more and more you start looking at people like, yo, these are people that have the same interests, the same
Mhm.
passions that you have.
We're the
More
same thing.
than anybody that you meet in your regular life, unless they're like family and they have the same kind of ethics that you have when it comes to the
Right.
dogs. You know what I'm saying? You will not find people to be around that understand you like dog people. You know
Yeah.
what I
I'm a,
mean? You just
yeah.
won't. These
These
I come to
youngsters.
the
Yeah.
shows. I'm like, these are my people. You know, because
Mhm.
they understand me. You know, a regular person will be like, oh, they're just dogs. No, if that's how you feel, then you know. But
100%.
What do you
you know,
mean? Oh
yeah,
yeah.
I get offended. I'm like, what you mean they're just dogs? Like
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
is
Watch
life.
yourself.
You haven't lived. Come to a show. And you just you know what I mean? Like
Squeeze me?
it just that was what made me fall in love with everything when I first started. When I went to the first show that I went to in Portland, and I saw, you know, people talking and interacting. I was going up to people's dogs, and I was in heaven. I was going up to every random person. I was like, "Can I touch your dog? Can I take the picture?" You know what I mean? And I was like, I took it like it was a petting zoo. I was all over the place. Um,
Low-key, I feel like it is though. If
no,
we're being
you know what I
honest,
mean?
I kind of feel like it
And
is.
so, you know, you sit there and you have fun and you feel this thing that you probably haven't felt in any other type of environment where you're like, I felt really like myself here.
Yeah.
And you can be
Yeah.
yourself. You know what I mean? How many times are you gonna sit there and have a conversation with a regular person about some dog's poop? It don't
No,
happen on an
right.
everyday
The dog,
basis.
yeah.
You go to the dog show and people are talking about how, you know, certain foods interact with their dog and allergies
the
that flare up and this, that, and the third. You know,
dog
it's
poop in
there's
a general sense, like talking about dog,
yeah, you
like
know,
your
it's
dog's
just
feasting
yeah,
is like
you want
psychos.
connection. You know, you want
You,
connection and you want to feel like when I go to the shows, I feel like I'm at home. And it doesn't matter what registry I go to.
yeah.
It doesn't matter how far away it is. I always feel at home there because these people
Same.
value the same things I value. You know, they do. And
I
if
love
I
that.
can just help them just a little bit to get the most out of that experience, then that's what I want to do.
Well, you are a
You
part of a lot of
Yeah.
people's memories and legacies, and that's just one
know?
of those things where, you know, and just like Caleb said earlier, this has been a long time coming because,
Yeah.
you know, we've seen each other at so many shows, and
Mm-hmm.
you know, we've watched you interact with newcomers, or even people that, have been at this for a long time, they come to you for something
Yeah.
hyper specific,
Yeah.
because their experiences with you have always been so successful. And
Hmm.
it's one of those things where you're a staple. You've become a staple.
Yeah.
Like,
And
seeing you
it's a
at
weird
the
thing
most.
because I don't, you look at yourself and you're like, oh, I'm not important, or you're like, I'm just me. Um, but like I said, to see people's faces light up when they see me at the shows, and yeah, I know, they're like, hey, and I'm like, what's up? It's all happy to see
Mhm.
people. It's just that's like I said, you feel like you're home. You feel like you're
Yeah.
with family. You're comfortable, and I love that. I love that, and
Oh yeah, I was
I
super happy
love
to
the
see
way
that
people
logo.
react to see me. It's
Hmm.
it brings joy. It brings joy. It definitely does. Just the way the dogs do. The dogs bring joy to our lives, and
Yep.
so
Yeah. Hey, Teresa.
yeah.
Hey, you are one person. When I see that you are locked in on a booth, I get literally internal joy because I'm just like, I get to
You
see her
found
and her
to see
husband.
her.
Like, I
Yes.
really, really get excited, and I'm just like, because you are like that piece at a show.
Yeah.
Yep.
You radiate and you attract people to you because of the transparency and because of the peace that you have, the
And
joy
I'm
that you
goofy,
have
so
for
I
your
make people
work.
laugh.
Yes.
Which
Yeah.
Yes.
I that's how I bring joy because I'm a clown. But
You make a lot
so
of people laugh, but yeah.
I
You're
just
such a calming
I'm just
effect,
bubble.
and it's
I'm always bubbly like that though. I can't help it. It's just me. Um,
yeah. But I love
I've
it. As
been
soon as
through
I see
some
that you're
really
locked in our
negative
booth,
things.
Yep.
You know,
yeah.
I've been through some really negative things, and one thing that I have really um had to kind of make my own is that even through suffering, you have to find a glimmer of happiness somewhere.
Yeah. Joy.
And we
Some
all
sort of
have our
joy.
stuff that life gets really real sometimes, and it is overwhelming and it can suffocate you really fast. And I have seen the best and I have seen the worst that life has to offer. And you have to find your own peace sometimes. And me
Yep.
sitting there and even through struggles and hardships and stuff like that, and like I said, my health is not the best. um I find my peace and I find my
Mhm.
happiness with the things that I make.
Oh,
And
that's
you
your
know
legacy. Yeah.
yeah, and
Yeah.
so
And
I
it's broad, girl. It's so broad. That legacy is so broad. It is
it's
bigger
so
than
funny because i
you could
don't i
possibly
don't
think.
it's weird for me to hear it because I don't see myself that way. I just see me. I just,
Yeah.
I'm just this little chubby girl that be running around everywhere and sits there and sets up her table, and I make my stuff and I sit there and I talk to my friends. That's how I see myself.
You are
Um,
Mm.
amazing. You are
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
I just, I don't know. It's weird for me because I don't, like I said, I don't. Other people see that in me, and I'm just kind of like, you get all bashful and stuff, and you're like, oh God, you know what I mean?
But that's
But
who you are, and I feel like that's one of the most endearing parts of who you are, though, is that
mhm,
you have this humble, this humility, where you don't realize the impact that you have. And the impact is it could be anything from obviously the leads that you make. It could be the comments that you make to people,
mhm.
while they're going through
Always
the
positive.
motions of like,
I mean, I
always
try to
positive.
be, like I said, I try to be I've been through a lot. I have been through a lot, and you have to try to find some type of joy somewhere, something
Hmm.
something to give everything meaning. And you have to believe. And I sit there and I have my belief system and I have my things that I value. And one of the things I value is bringing people joy and bringing happiness and trying to be as positive as I can, because if the glass is half empty, then you're putting yourself at a disadvantage when we're already at a disadvantage as it is. Life is not
I feel
perfect.
that.
It throws stuff at us like crazy. You have to be a glass half full. You have to be. You know,
Yeah,
you
and you
have to
are.
be.
Yeah,
I
you
try.
are.
My glass got some cracks in it though, but it's half full.
Still have full. It's not leaking. It's cracked, but it's not
Yeah.
leaking. We're
I
still
Keep
mean,
solid.
patching.
We're
it
good.
still works. You can still drink water. So I mean, you know, it is what it is. But I like I said, I want people's experience at the shows to be happy, and so I'm always, even when I'm going through some stuff, I put all of that away. I am present when I'm at a show, and
You
if I
100%
can
are.
give people, advice, if I can encourage them to not doubt themselves so much, if I can look at their dog and be like, honey, you've got a really nice dog. Why are you not in there? It,
Put that dog in
it's,
the ring. You're right.
yeah, you don't know how many times I'm like, are you showing today? They're like, no, we're just checking it out. Sweetheart, what are you doing? Well, like, why? You know what I mean?
I
I'm
love that you're
always,
willing
listen,
to
I'll
do
be
that.
Hey,
It's
people's
look,
like,
cheerleader all day.
and you
Get
know
your
what?
ass in the ring.
Just that little
You know what I'm
push.
saying?
Some
Yeah,
people
no,
just need
and
that little
sometimes that's,
nudge. Just
yep,
that
yeah,
little
and
just the
nudge.
sometimes
nudge.
that's all people need is just a little like, you got this. Go
Bullying.
ahead.
Yeah.
You gonna do good. It's okay. And then when they do good and they're like, oh my God, I wasn't even good. And I'm like, you see, you gotta
Yeah,
be in
you
it to
had
win it,
it in you.
baby. You gotta be in it to win it. If you're not in there, you definitely ain't gonna do nothing but spectate. So jump in
Right,
there. Don't be
exactly.
scared.
You're a
You ain't
spectator
gonna lose
otherwise.
anything. Nothing
Hmm.
bad's gonna happen to you. You know what I'm saying? It's not like you don't win and the ground is gonna open
Yeah,
up and suck
worst
you
case
in and you don't.
scenario.
You know
Yeah,
what I'm
worst case
saying?
scenario, you leave
Like,
without a ribbon. Oh God.
yeah,
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
absolutely.
You
Yeah,
just
and
you just
we
gotta be in
bullied
there.
Bruce to get it back in the ring too. Like, so I'm feeling this very much.
Yes. Some people are
Oh
so
man.
terrified. And like I said, I'm I'm a very social introvert. I do like to stay to
I like
myself.
that.
This is why it has taken so long for me to get here, where I'm talking to you guys. Okay, because at the show, I'll sit there and I'll talk your little head off. But to sit there and do lives and stuff like that, and I get so many people that tell me all the time, "Oh, you should be doing lives, and your personality
You're
is
like,
good, and you should." And I'm just like, mm-mm. I just gonna make my stuff in my little she cave, and that's it. And but you have to be out there. And I'm trying to follow my own advice. So I don't want to sound like a hypocrite. I am trying to I am trying to follow my own
you're doing
advice. You know what I'm saying?
great though.
Because you do have to be out there. Which was why when you were like, "So I have this date," and I was like, "Fine." I said,
But
"Okay."
shit, yes, yes. Ah,
Yeah.
oh God.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
after you left me, I was sitting there. I was like, "Oh Lord, I done made
What
a
did I just
mistake.
agree
I
to?
told her I can't do this." But I have to follow my own advice and get out of that little bubble that I think I've put myself in before. When I was showing my dog in the beginning, when I started with Max, like really going hard, there was no bubble. There was no bubble. It was just me and him and us in the ring trying to get these points to champ them out. And I was traveling a lot
Yeah.
and doing all that stuff. And then when I sat there and got sick, my dogs are finna go off. When I sat there and I got sick, I really sat there and I was like, I can't, I can't do that. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
have to like pull back a little bit. Slowly but surely, with me going to the shows consistently like I have been, I have been able to sit there and burst the bubble a little bit. So this was definitely something I needed to do for myself to get myself out of my comfort zone. So I'm
Listen,
Yeah,
I'm
glad
I
glad
that you
you
love it.
chose
asked.
to do it.
I'm glad that you were persistent and that you finally got me to cave and say yes.
When I felt so bad because again it was one of the Troy shows, and I'd sat down with you, and we'd we'd done a quick interview, but
Yes,
for some
yes,
strange reason I didn't like the way that it turned out on my part. I didn't feel like I asked you the right questions, and it's just like
yeah.
sound wise, it was the venue was just the acoustics are just all over the place. I didn't
There
have a
was a lot
microphone
of
at that
stuff
point.
going on at that venue.
Yeah, and I
Because I
remember
remember there
like
was like
going
a
back
whole little
and like.
outburst with dogs
Mhm.
on the side, and we were just like,
Yeah, and I was like, I went back and I tried to edit it as best as I could,
mm-hmm.
and I was just like, I can't post this. I just it
Yeah,
wouldn't do you justice.
yeah.
So I was like, so with that said, you absolutely have to come on the show, and
Mm-hmm.
like it's just been. But that was shortly before you were I think you had a surgery that had come up.
Yeah, there was
Um,
that, and then also I ended up getting a really bad case of BPPV, which is like
mm,
it's a very severe version of vertigo,
yeah,
and that put me down for
yeah,
a
yeah.
while.
We didn't see you for a hot
And
second
I'm
out there, which
still
was
I'm still dealing with it. Like
depressing.
every day, I deal with dizziness and stuff like that, and I've had to learn how to adjust to life now with that attitude and
Yeah,
everything. Um, and I navigate it well enough. And so
You
that's
do?
why now I'm like, I need to kind of stop being afraid of my limitations and kind of embrace them, and
Yeah.
try to do the best that I can to be out there a little bit more. And I've kind of, stand back and look at what things I don't like about the community,
Yeah.
particularly the negativity. And I've been sitting there, and
Think it
I'm
negative.
not really the type to sit there and make a post where I'm kind of like telling the community they have to be better. But I've started doing that now because, there's a lot of stuff that I see that is so petty in the grand scheme of what these dogs are and what the community should be and what these dogs should represent. To sit there and see so many people nitpicking and, like I said, being super duper petty and taking every opportunity that they can to kind of, put the next person down. And I see it on the boards, and there are certain days where I'm just like, I need to make posts because this is like the fifth
It's
one I
ugly.
see in less than 3 days, and I just
Yeah.
about
Like,
had
why are you
enough,
all?
and I sit there and I'll make a post like, as a community, we do need to stop nitpicking and sit there and, strive to be better, strive to bring
Yeah.
better dogs to the ring, strive to
Yep.
be better people in life and in
Oh
the
yeah.
community. Try to sit there and actually look at the things that are going on and pick your battles. I feel like
Yeah.
some people are so quick to jump on stuff. Listen, it don't have nothing to do with you. Hi, baby. It don't have nothing to do with you. It doesn't have any detriment or effect on your program or anything like that. And some people take it's just grotesque how
Yeah.
adamant they are to cause drama where there's no need for any. And,
Right.
and and what does that benefit any of us? It benefits us none. It makes us look more divided. And everybody complains about how they want the
Divided we are.
community to be,
Mm-hmm.
they want to be taken serious. And they want to,
Gotta be
take this thing
serious.
to another
Yeah.
level. And it's ridiculous to me because it's like, you know, why are you causing all these problems and making the whole community as a whole, making the community look terrible? You know what I mean? Because some people just they do too much. They do too much. Focus on what's in front of you. Get your
What's
butt to the
actually
lane.
what's funny is like you're mentioning this, and Jerry Jimenez, he just hit us up. He started watching, so it's perfect timing because he literally said, "My bad, I was on another live listening to some crazy whack ass shit."
Oh yeah. But this is what I'm
Perfect
saying.
timing, perfect timing,
People
because that's
people will
exactly
sit there. People will sit there and they will make lives about the most negative, asinine stuff,
Mhm.
and they make themselves look so bad. It's like, how do you expect for anyone to sit there and take you serious? You want to be a
Yep.
business person and you want to boast that you're this and you're that,
Stand
but
on
you
business.
you misrepresent yourself in such a foul way. You
Hmm.
know, I mean,
Oh yeah.
who's
Well,
gonna
the
take you
thing is,
serious?
we all, and every single. I don't care what anybody wants to say or
Hmm.
try to imply, but we
Hmm.
all have not necessarily inserted ourselves, but have like kind of played a little bit of a part of some sort of drama. Like even if it's as simple as we go and watch a live where people are just going at it and it's a
Hmm.
bunch of drama and chaos, and we throw in our 2 or 5 cents,
Yeah.
however much we can afford that day. And
Hmm.
it's we've all done it. We've all
Uh,
done it. And I mean, I've thrown 10 cents in. Apparently, I
Yeah.
felt rich that day. But at the end of the day, it's just like you said, it is about trying to bring something positive and
Hmm.
trying to help, not hurt.
Yeah. I mean,
And
nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect. We are all
yep,
imperfect. And there will always be this little twinge of something in us that loves to see some shit pop off. It's just that it's human nature. So, I'm not gonna sit here and say that, like for example, when the Wolf Pit was out, oh, everybody and their mama was in the Wolf Pit. Everybody loved it. They loved the drama. They loved, but if we're striving to be taken seriously, if we are striving to represent ourselves in the best way possible. We need to kind of step away from that stuff.
Mhm.
You have to kind of try to hold yourself to a higher standard in order to be the change you want to see. You
There we
can't
go.
I
expect
love
you
that.
can't expect things to change if it doesn't start at home first. And
That's
Oh
right.
so,
yeah, you gotta lead by example, baby. Gotta lead
yeah,
by
you
example.
you have to. And
Yeah.
so, you sit there and I try to do that in a subtle way as I possibly can by just sitting there and just being positive. Being positive.
We we do it in a little bit less of a subtle way. Like again, like the biggest reason why we do what we do is
Mhm.
this. We
Mhm.
are trying so hard to kind of bring the community together, and by providing tutelage to people who are afraid to ask their questions, because
Yes.
there's a lot of people walking into this, and they're just like, oh man, I just don't know what I'm looking at in this this
Mhm.
particular genre, and being kind of petrified to ask,
Yeah,
so
no, and but with due cause, because not for nothing, and this happened the other day, and I made a post because I was infuriated. I was on I think it was the Indiana Mississippi, it was like some board, bully board. And the
yeah.
guy posted up some puppies that he had, and he sat there and he threw a price tag on them and was like, I have these babies available, took some regular old cell phone pictures.
Hmm.
And he said it in his post. He was like, I'm really new to this. Threw a price out there. And when I tell you these people numbed him to death, they chewed him up and spit him out like he was old gum.
Yeah.
Um, and I was upset because it's like we all started green. Ain't nobody start off
Right.
with a Rockomania or nothing like that. You know what I mean? We all started
Yeah.
somewhere.
Yes.
Where is the humility and where is the recognition of, okay, this person is brand new. Maybe what I should do instead of sitting there and criticizing him and tearing him apart and shredding
Reach
him
for
up like a
season,
piece of
baby.
paper is hit him in his inbox and be like, hey, I see that you said that you're new at this and you're, posting your puppies. I
Hmm.
would like to give you a couple of points of advice that I wish someone had given me when I first started.
Yep.
Maybe what you need to do is when you post up your puppies, make sure that you sit there and you put a pedigree link so that people
Yep.
understand what it is that they're buying. Include, some recent pictures or video of, your male and your female.
Yep.
And also let's avoid using just cell phone pictures. Try to get some really nice at level pictures of your puppies
Yep.
so that way everyone can really appreciate how nice your dogs are. People
I
don't
love
know
it.
how to be like that. People want to handle their business the way they
Yep.
handle other people in their lives, and you can't do that. And
It's
you
Right.
not, yeah,
shouldn't do that.
especially with strangers. And again, just like you
Yeah.
said, it's just like, and Adam made a good point. He's just like, sometimes you need to handle business behind the scenes. And,
Mm-hmm.
and one of the biggest reasons why we do what we do is because what we do is we peddle access, or,
Yes.
we want people to have access to information from the pros, people who've been
Mm-hmm.
doing this for a long time.
Yeah.
Their goal is to teach, but sometimes they're just not given the platform to do so.
Yeah.
So that's what we do. So
Mm-hmm.
that is our
And I feel
goal,
like
is to
sometimes
give them
some
the,
people forget. I feel like they
yeah.
forget how they started. They forget how to be humble. And I say that all the
There
time.
you go.
One thing that I will say about myself that I will give myself a lot of credit for, I will fully admit I am not perfect. I I am only, what God made me. And, I started just like everybody else at square one, at the very
Yep.
bottom of the barrel. And
Yeah.
I have worked my way to where I am now, and I still have a lot of work to do as a human being and as a breeder and as somebody who sits there and, works on behalf of giving others the tools to be able to do what it is that they want to do in that ring. Um, where the hell did the humility go? Where did the, caring about the other people and, wanting to see others do well? I feel like a lot of times people sit there and they pray for your downfall. And I see it a lot on the boards. And it's
Oh,
disgusting to me. because it's
Yeah.
like
100%.
you
Open
sit
circuit.
there and you pray like, will somebody please just point me in the right direction because I don't know where the hell I'm going, and it's like I don't know what I'm doing. I know I like this, but I'm green. I don't know what to do, and it's
Yep.
like other people will sit there and they will look at that and they will take the opportunity to kick the hell out of the person
Yep.
that's
They'll
down.
prey upon it.
Yeah, and it's
Yep.
just like the community would be so much better if people would just take it takes 2 seconds sometimes to just even if it's just a like
Let's give it a little bit
on
of
somebody's
advice.
post. You know what I
Yep.
mean? Be positive,
Mm-hmm.
encourage. And if you feel like they need guidance, maybe don't
Get
take the
it.
opportunity to sit there and be loud about how wrong they are in doing whatever it is that they're doing.
Yeah.
I
Instead
do
of
it a lot. I
pointing them in
go
the
and
right
I will
direction.
hit people in their inbox. I will hit them in their inbox. I'll be like, "Hey, sweetie, I saw that made this post, and your puppies are really cute. I would give you this advice if you really, if you're having a hard time, getting the place, or not for whatever reason the right people are not seeing them. And I will give advice. It
Yeah.
it don't hurt me none. It didn't cost me any. It didn't cost me
Yep.
anything.
Right.
Just
Yep.
Couple
why is that
seconds.
so hard?
Just a couple seconds of time that what else were you going to be doing at that time?
Yeah,
So
and
absolutely. It's
a
so
lot of
worth
people are missing mentors. The
it.
mentorship. When I first got into this, people would ask me. That was one of the big things that people, who's your mentor? And I'd be like, I have, like for me, Andrea Klaus was one of the first people that I met in the game. And she, she's been at it longer than me. Um, and she helped me a lot. Another person who was really, really sweet to me, and I love him to death, Alex Ferraro. I sat there and I've talked to Alex tons of times, and when he sees me at shows, he gets very happy to see me because he's like, "Hey, how you doing?" He comes and he crashes with me for a little while, and then he goes and does his thing. He's always been super supportive. We'll sit there and we'll talk, dogs, and trade different things. You know, um, Having that is super important when you're first starting off, because it'll I feel like it dictates to you how you kind of go about
Yeah.
doing things for the rest of the time that you do it. I feel like a lot of people now, they don't have any type of mentorship, and that's where all this dryness is coming from, where they feel like they have to attack everyone because it's me versus the world.
I
All
agree.
right, you know what I'm saying? Take it easy, my boy. You don't have to get that crazy with it. You know what I mean? um yeah, I'm a firm believer you attract more bees with honey than vinegar. Sit there
Yes.
and be humble. Talk to people. You need guidance? Ask someone for help. If you have help that you can give someone, give it. You know what I'm saying? Um, like I said, when I would talk to Alex, the first time I met Alex actually was my very first show at Portland, um, at the ballpark. First time I ever met Lucky. Lucky was young. You know what I mean? And he talked dogs with me. He was super sweet, and that's the thing that's missing a lot. I see certain people that walk around with this chip on their shoulder, and, you know, I don't understand it. I'm an open book. You ask me
Yeah.
questions. If I got an answer, you got it. If I don't have an answer, I might know somebody who do have the answer, and I'm like,
Yeah.
can you help so and so? You know what I mean? I don't just
Yeah.
sit idly by and I'm like, oh, not a problem. You know, and people do that all the time. They
Wow.
do. They're like, hope you don't sink. It's like, what, what does it cost you to just be nice, to try to
Right.
help somebody else? They want to talk about community, but where's the community if everybody's trying to gouge each other's eyes out? You
Hmm.
know,
Yeah.
it's wild to me. It's wild. But like I said, I try to be myself, and I try to be positive, and I try to bring a little joy to everyone that I meet, even if it's just a simple conversation where they
Absolutely.
feel like, all right, this person gets me and they understand.
Right.
They
Someone's
see what
heard me. Yes.
yeah, and that's all you can really do. And you'd be surprised how just doing that, and that's like bare minimum. Just doing that helps a whole lot. So
Oh, absolutely. For
you
sure.
know, it's just a thing. But I mean, the community is as a whole is great. It's just got its little things, but that's everything in life. If we could just strive to just be a little bit more solid and a little bit better, we'd be good. But
Oh,
I try
sure.
to
I
I try to do
wholeheartedly
my
agree.
little part. I try to peddle my little stuff to help everybody to do their thing, you know, in the ring, and you know.
Well, you're not just peddling things though. That's the beauty of who you've become, is like you're not just peddling things. Like
Yeah.
you're peddling a positivity, you're a whole vibe. Like these people will remember you. I mean,
Energy.
again, just like, yeah, the energy. And it's just like, you know, Caleb said, is, I mean, the same, we all feel the same way. Like when, you know, there's an upcoming show and all of a sudden, you know, the host
I'm like,
posts up
oh,
that you
yeah.
got yourself a booth. We're all just like, yes, you know, because
Hmm.
it's not necessarily like, oh boy, I need another lead. Like,
Hmm.
no, it's more
Even
than
though
that,
that ends up
bigger
happening,
than
right, Caleb? Even though you don't need any. He was like, damn, I came home with another one. She got me. But
every
Every
time.
time.
Every
yeah.
time. And she's never going to get mad at him for that. I will let you know that she will never get mad at him. She'll just, and that's it. That's all he gets. That's
Yeah.
all he gets. But like other than that, I mean, it's a given. It's a given. But no, I mean, seriously though, every time that we see that, like we have the confirmation that you're going to be at one of the shows that we are going to be at, it is, man,
I have a couple
we
of
just know
local
it's going to be
people
great.
that I try to mentor. I mean, people who ask me, like I said, I'll be anybody's mentor. If you jump in my inbox and ask me questions, I'm an open book. I'll sit there and, you know, you have questions from, you know, like products that work best for certain situations, or, you know, things that like I said, I've been doing this a long time. So there's certain things that I use that I know work for certain things. I try to, I, I don't try to hold anything back. So like you can jump in my inbox at any point in time and ask me any question. And like I said, if I've got an answer for you, then you're gonna get it. I will
Love
send you links to stuff. I just have always been like that. I get a lot of random people that I've not met, and they're like, I saw that you had this, and I was wondering, you know, what food do you recommend for a dog that's got this and this, or you
it.
know, what kind of shampoo? I get product questions all the time. What shampoo you use for this? I'm like, here, this is what I use. This is the vitamins I use. This is that, and it's a whole bunch of, you know, I links for Tractor Supply and Rural King and Amazon. It's just flying
Right.
everywhere. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Oh,
I try to
absolutely.
mentor. You know, if you got like I said, if you got a question, I got to answer. Then you finna get it. But you know, I like I said, it's just
That's what it's
it's one of
about.
those things. It's one of those things. I enjoy the community so much. I want to see it prosper, and I want to see everyone do good. I derive a lot of pleasure from seeing my friends smile, and to me, when I go to the shows, they are full of my friends. And so, you know, I want the community to be good. I want all of the people that I care about when I come to these shows to be the best that they can and to achieve all the stuff that they want to achieve. And even if I don't know you, if I can help you with anything, I'll help as much as I can. Like, there's no stupid question. The only stupid question is the one that you don't dare to ask.
Yep.
So you sit there and you hit the inbox. If I can help you, I will.
I
So,
love it.
you
I
know.
love
She
it.
means that full heartedly.
No, and I
She
do.
Really
I
completely
does.
means
mean it.
that.
I mean it with everything that makes me me. I mean that. Because sometimes all somebody needs is for another person to look at them and be like, yo, you can do anything you set your mind to.
Yep.
You gotta be present in it
Mm-hmm.
110%.
Get
And
invested.
if you go ahead and you pursue it, it's gonna come. You have to speak it into existence, but you have to believe in it and you have to pursue it. You can't just,
Mhm.
you know, think about it and be idle about it and be like, oh, you know, well, I really would love to do that, but I can't. You're the only one who's blocking you. You're the only one who's blocking you. So
100%.
Fair.
all you have to do is
That's
believe.
fair.
You
Yeah,
know.
that's fully fair.
I love
Hmm.
it.
I try. Like I said, it's life is hard, man. It's not easy. There's a lot of stuff that goes on in the midst of you trying to deal with the dogs.
Yes.
And so, you know, there is always this juggling act that you have to do, you know, when you're in the community, because, you know, everybody has most people have jobs, they have kids, they have relatives maybe that they're taking care of, elderly, what have you. There's life, and then there's life with the
With
dogs.
dogs. Yeah.
Yes, and so um, I try to be the one, if I can just help a little bit to help balance some of that out, then that's what I want to do. And it might be through my leads, it might be through answering questions, it might be just, having another person look back at you and actually smile, and the smile be genuine. You know, Sometimes you'd be surprised. All those things make a difference. You don't think it does, but it does.
Yeah.
100%.
Oh
So
yeah.
I try.
Life's in the details, man. I tell you.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I swear.
I love it. Teresa, tonight was way overdue, and it did not disappoint at all. I love your
Thank you.
genuineness. I love your transparency. I love
Thank
you.
you.
I love your husband.
I
I love
love
your
I love
leads.
you and Nakaya so much. You guys are so great. Like, I just wanted to tell you, like, when I see you guys at the show, you guys are very inspiring in a lot of different ways. Because you can tell that you and Nakaya are locked in. You're locked in not only with each other, but you guys are locked in with the
Yes.
dogs.
Oh yeah.
To see
Oh
Nakaya
yeah.
running around like a little nymph with her little camera everywhere, and she's all so happy and joyous and stuff.
Yeah.
I love that.
Oh,
Um,
she's
and
everywhere.
it's nice to see other people be a reflection of what you want to see in the community, and be so at ease and own that. You know what I'm saying? So,
Mm-hmm.
well, every time I see you guys at the show, it always brings a big old smile to my face because I'm like, they're so freaking cute. You know what I mean?
We,
It's
They
we
like,
feel the
are.
same
It's
way about
disgusting,
y'all.
isn't
I
it?
love seeing you and your husband. We were
it
sharing a
was so
charger
cute
in
though because we
Kentucky.
were at the Alabama show, and I go and I turn around and I look at Jason, and Jason's over there following you with your tent, and
Uh,
Jay,
oh yeah.
and you're so much
Yeah,
taller than
they're
Jay, so
bonded
it's
now.
comical.
It's
Here you
over.
are, and then here's little Jason, but he's like, we finna put this thing up and get it together. I was like, I said, I can, I swear.
You wanted
And
to
Yes, he
help.
was. He
Yeah,
was so
absolutely.
helpful. I
yeah,
love
I
seeing your
swear.
husband.
It is too cute, but it's like it's one of those things. Like I said, it's just that sense of community that we have when you find
Hmm.
people that really bring you joy, and people that you consider like friends. Like I consider you guys awesome freaking friends. I see Amanda and I'm like, what's up, Amanda? You know what I mean? It's like, you know, it's one of those things where it's like it's nice to see your own energy reflected in somebody else,
Oh,
So
100%.
I just
oh,
wanted to tell you that because it's like it's something that brings me a lot of joy. When I see you guys at the show, I'm like, oh, look at them. I go and I give you a hug.
Yes.
I'm like, what's up,
I feel like we're
Yes.
all like literally on 10. And it's like you see somebody else that's definitely also on 10. And you're just like, yes, my people. Yes, absolutely. I mean,
Yes.
even Tonio just started watching. He's just like best leads in the game, period.
He's
I
another one.
mean,
I
you,
adore Tonio. I adore him
yes.
because he's a sweetheart. And man, one of the like when I tell you one of the hardest working handlers I
Oh,
see out there, Tony be
yes.
busting his butt. Yeah, I see
Oh,
him ripping and running everywhere and doing this thing, and you know, and really representing the dog super well with the way that he
oh yeah.
Yes, he
handles his
is.
dogs.
Yeah,
Yes, he
he is an
is.
Like
absolute
he
pro.
be
Yeah.
making these dogs look like they were born this way. Like they came
Oh,
out the
100%.
womb looking like they were trained like that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Oh,
So I mean,
absolutely.
I
And he's
and
the
he
same way. Like when he sees you
yeah.
at a show, it's like, yeah, I mean, it's again,
Oh,
it's like
he'll come to my
family. It's
table
that.
and he's ripping and running because he's like always busy. But he'll be like,
Mm-hmm.
"I'll be right back." He'll tap on the table and then boom, he's
I'll be
gone.
right back.
You know what I mean? And he'll come back to me in a little while and he'll be like, "Man, tired. This is going on. That's going on." And I'm just like, "I know. I see you. You working hard." And he does his thing. And I love the fact that he uses my leads in order to do his stuff. So
Yep.
it's cool. I love watching him work. And the same
Yeah.
thing with
Hey,
Yeah.
Nakaya.
Teresa.
When Nakaya's in the ring and she's using my leads, I'm like, that's right, girl. You manhandle the shit out of that
Every
lead.
time she's using your leads. Hey,
Oh
hey,
yeah.
Teresa, real quick.
Yeah,
Hey, when Jason was helping us at this last show at Shanika's
yeah.
show, that was such a shame because we thought we were right next to you.
Man,
And
I
Shanika's
know.
like, no,
I
you're
turned
across
around and
there.
I
We're like,
looked. I
no.
said,
You're like, no,
I
you're
said,
right
yeah,
here.
like I turned around and I looked at Kat, my friend that comes with me to the shows. And I said, what? They stole them. Why are they not here? What happened? And she was like,
Yeah.
they went to the other side. And then I go and I look and I see Jason holding on to the thing. I was like, what? You're helping them get away. No, you bring the thing
We went
back.
across
I scolded him when he came back.
the
I said,
tent.
why did you help them go to the other side? He was like, well, they were in the wrong place. They had to go that way. I was like, no,
I
I
was just
wanted
going
them
to help him
here.
move. To him, it doesn't seem like such a
Oh,
big
that was
deal. But I mean, obviously,
hilarious.
to like
And
the
then I
people
was
that
so
are like,
disappointed because I was like,
yeah,
damn, I thought that they were
it
going to
is a
be
big
our
deal.
neighbors. You know what I mean? And then Nakaya was just everywhere, and you were holding down the fort over there. I was like, oh, I'm never going to see them.
She's omnipresent. Like if there's a human being that you can honestly say has mastered omnipresence, I think it might be Unikaya.
Mm-hmm. I'm
Like
telling you,
she's
every time
everywhere.
I see her, she's like, she reminds me of a little fairy with a camera. She's just like so happy and joyous, and she's just like 1 second she's here, and the next second she's
And
over there, and then I'm like, what is she? Where is she at? And then she's all the way on the other side,
she's over
taking
there.
pictures
She's
like
right over
crazy.
there, but she was also over here, and then she was back there. Like she's
People come and ask
everywhere.
Yeah,
me,
and
they're
then
like,
she
"Where's your
comes and she
wife?" And
makes
I'm
an
just like, "I
appearance at
have
my table
no
real
idea.
quick.
I have
Dude
no
never
idea,
knows
but
where
you
she's
tell
at. We
me."
always have
I
to look
got you,
for her, but it's
Tony.
like, oh, there she is. Like we have to find her for him. It's precious.
No, but it's just the cutest thing because she's everywhere and she's so
Mm-hmm.
happy taking pictures. She's talking to
Love it.
people and telling them how to stack
Absolutely
them,
love it.
schooling some people and like, okay, showing them how to do their thing. And at the same, it was funny. So we set aside the lead for her that she wanted, and then I go to I tell Jason this is her lead. So Jason is watching her help someone on how to properly stack their dog. And so Jason is like, do you want me to go and get your lead so that way you can use it? She's like, they're gonna want to take it. And she continues to help the dude with his other lead that he's got. I started laughing. I said, she ain't gonna let nobody get her stuff. Don't even bring that up again. She
Nope.
was not having it. I
Mm-mm.
just thought it was the
Oh
funniest thing
gosh.
ever. It was so cute. Like I said, when I go to the shows, there are certain people that I go and I'm just like I love seeing their faces. You know what I
You're
mean?
one of those people for us, so definitely take that to the bank
One
because,
hundred
like,
percent.
Okay.
literally, you are absolutely one of the people that we
I'll
love
take your word
seeing.
for it. I'll take your word for
Do
it.
please do. It's 100% true. It's the absolute truth. No, we are always excited to know that you're going to be at one of the shows that we're at, and
Yeah,
because again, it's just that
I try to be
positivity.
everywhere as much as I can. Man, May was brutal. May, I went every weekend to a show for all the 5 weeks of May, and May is
Wow.
my birthday month. So I was like, happy
Happy
birthday to
belated.
me, going to the show. You know,
Damn, you to work.
yeah. And I mean, I had to take after that. I took like a week break, and then I was like, back to work. You know, going to the shows, and
Yeah.
this weekend I'm not going to a show, but next weekend I'm definitely gonna be in Alabama. So, you know, and I've got all these different ones. I've got a list of stuff, places I want to go, and I'm determined to try to make it. I really want to go to Louisiana
Yeah,
and go down there to like New Orleans. There's a show that's supposed to be coming up that's going to be big, and I'm like, it's gonna be a hell of a travel, but I really want to go. So, you know, looking forward to all the events that are coming up and all the different stuff. Looking forward
Yes.
to the Ohio Bully
Teresa,
Showcase.
I'm gonna throw this
oh,
out there. Please
Yeah.
add this to your list.
Okay.
October 11th,
Uh huh.
Andalusia, Alabama, hosted by Candy Avila and Nakia Weddle.
Okay.
Um,
Nice.
Monster Bully
45 minutes
Bash.
away from the house, and I would love for you to come and sign this.
Oh, yes, I seen other people signing it, and I was like, oh, they
Yeah,
so bougie. They got their whole
yeah,
wall. Look at
yeah.
that.
They're
It
not
would
far
be
from
an
Andalusia, so it's one
honor
of
for
those
you and
things where
Jason
it's
to
just like
come sign this wall.
when in Andalusia, they like go
It's
like
like signing the
absolutely
yearbook, but it's in your house, and it's the whole wall.
Exactly.
right. Same vibe. Same
Man,
vibe.
I definitely would love
Yes.
to do that. I might have to just go over there just on the strength of doing that. You know what I mean?
We would love to have you over here. We
I
would
think that
love
would
to
be
have you and
awesome.
Jason over here.
Absolutely.
Okay, that sounds like a date then. We'll make it happen. I'm finna tell
Sign, seal,
Jason.
Sounds
deliver.
good.
I'm here for it. I'm here for
I
it.
know Jason. Listen, I already know Jason's gonna be like, going
Oh,
over
Jason
there.
would be like, yes, ma'am. Yes, we're going.
He's
We're
gonna be like,
going.
can we
Come
Let's
have
on,
go.
Jason.
some beers and barbecue too? I already know it's gonna be a whole thing. Oh Lord. Oh,
Yeah,
but
y'all are gonna bro
it
out.
sounds
It's gonna be
fun.
great.
Yeah,
Yes,
I
I'll
already
call
know.
Jason. Send me his number. I'll call him. We'll get it set up.
Oh yeah. Oh, listen, that one. He's like, okay, so we're gonna get some beers. We'll do this. We'll do that. If there's any mention of grilling, oh, you got them already. That's all you got to start with.
We
Just
got beer
tell
and a
them there's going to
grill.
Yeah,
be
lead
meat.
with that. Lead with
Yeah.
that. Absolute pun intended,
Like I
but
don't know if
lead
you
with that.
I don't know if you saw the pictures. I think you did. When I went to this last show. I love Jason to death. He's got such a serious ass face all the
He
time.
really does. He's
When you went
like
to the
But
restaurant.
meanwhile,
in the
in the
car, you're
car, he
like,
was like, "I'm so excited. We're
okay.
going on this trip." And then he's driving. He's like, "I'm like,
Are
babe, you good?" And he's like, "Just driving." I'm like,
you? He
"Okay."
does his RBF.
The
Bless his
biggest
heart, his
Kool-Aid smile
RBF.
ever was the moment we walked into Hooters and we sat there and we were like, "All right, we're gonna eat some chicken.
You'd
We're gonna
think
have
that
this."
there'd be a smile on his face.
And then I
It's
took the picture and
scooters.
he had from here to here. Yep.
Oh.
The man's happiness is meat. Don't
Hmm.
look at me like that. Look at this. Hold on. You heard me talking about him with a serious face. He was like, I
Oh
can't with him.
shit.
I
What's
swear.
up, my boy?
He said,
Jason.
"What's up, my boy? He wants your number. He's trying to get us over there."
Oh.
He said, "Where?"
Yeah,
I said,
yeah,
"To
yeah.
the house
Y'all need to
to
exchange
sign the
numbers
wall."
because the signing of the wall absolutely has to happen when you
Jason,
guys
what's
go
up,
down in
man?
October to Andalusia. So like, it's an absolute must. Y'all need to
He,
throw out, sign the
he,
wall, do some
he'll,
grilling, have some
he'll be
beers.
down. He'll be down. I
That
already
was
Yeah,
know.
it's
perfect
happening. It's
timing.
going down.
That
I
was
can't with him.
literally written.
In the stars. This
See,
word.
is there
Yeah.
gonna be food?
Yes, food and beer. Food and
I
beer.
swear, baby barbarian. As long as there's food, if there's meat, he's down. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
All you gotta say
Oh,
is we grilling. It's it. It's a
We
wrap.
that is
grilling. And
hilarious.
We
he's like,
grilling.
perfect. Put it on the schedule. We're done. It's
Yep,
happening.
it's
Yep,
done.
October 11th, Jason. Come on
Okay.
down. Andalusia, Alabama.
I'm gonna
We live
tell
in
him.
Bruton, about 45 minutes away, but come on down, man. We're gonna have
Oh
a good
yeah,
time.
we'll do it. It sounds like it's gonna be fun. I know he's gonna be
Oh,
overjoyed.
I can't wait.
Yeah, it'll be cool. It sounds fun. Definitely. I'm for
Yeah.
it.
awesome.
Yes.
Oh yeah. So definitely put that in the
Yes.
calendar of the show, followed by, either preceding, whatever.
Send me the flyer, Caleb, when you get a chance to. Send it to
Absolutely.
Oh
my
yeah, yeah, yeah.
messages.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
I'll
yes.
send it to you as soon as I'm done here.
Okay.
Yep,
Sounds good. Let me
for
know.
sure.
Yep.
Yay.
Yep.
So we always like to ask this question, and I feel like you've kind of answered it to a degree, but we definitely want you to kind of like just drive it home.
Yeah.
We like to end the show with asking you, like, if somebody's coming in to this, for the first time, they're relatively new, what advice would you personally give them to set them up for success?
Um, research. Look into what you're getting yourself into. A lot of people sit there and they jump into these dogs knowing a fraction of what they really do need to know. Um, Make sure that you have all your bases covered. Make sure that you have a really good vet that you can sit there and have a long-standing relationship with. I have a phenomenal vet, and I have been using her for over 10 years. She is the one that I trust with everything. It doesn't matter what it is. Having the support of a really good veterinarian is really, really important because you'll sit there and you'll mess around and you'll get a dog that maybe might have some health problems and you go to the wrong vet and what they tell you is not what you need to hear because they'll sit there and they're either not pro breeder or they've got their own agenda and stuff like that. And
Yeah,
you know
Absolutely.
that's right.
it's just you want someone who is 100% for you, for your
Right.
dog, in your corner. Um, Sit there and really, like I said, investigate, look into what it is that interests you and what are the pros and what are the cons. Prepare yourself for what might be, because you can never predict what the future is going to be. But if you're,
Right.
like, let's say you're getting into Frenchies, you need to know that there are certain things that Frenchies need um, in comparison to the other dogs
Yes.
that you might want to get into. Um, and also, don't dogs is not an area where you want to sprint. So if you're gonna do this, do it right. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? You have to sit there and you have to spend the money. You know, invest in good food. Invest in having the money put up so that you can be prepared for anything that pops up. And really just Do it right. Aim to do it right. And if you feel, like I said, if you feel like you don't know something, don't be afraid to ask questions. You have to ask questions. You're not,
Mhm.
the answer is just not going to miraculously, oh, it's going to come out from the sky. And you're like, okay, I'm good. You know what I
It
mean?
does.
Ask someone with experience. Ask someone who's doing what you want to be able to be
There we go.
doing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
There we go.
Look, even if they're not your mentor because they didn't, sit there and take you in from the beginning. If you see someone whose program inspires you and you feel like you would like to be a mirror of that, jump into the inbox. The worst that could possibly happen is the person has no time for you or doesn't want to answer any questions.
Right.
At best, you get exactly what you need. You get the answers
Yes.
that you want, and it helps to
Yep.
mold you and direct you in the right way that you need to be in order to get to where you want to go.
I love it.
Yep.
But you can't be scared. You can't
Yep.
you can't you can't half ask this stuff. You just can't. And if that's how you want to do it, if you want to sit there and you want to skate by and you want to half ask it, then maybe right now is not the time. Maybe what
Yes.
you need
Yep.
to do is sit there and be in the plan phase of it, where you're making the motions that you need to make to get to that spot. But a lot of
Yep.
people like to jump in. Don't jump
Mhm.
in blindly and just think that it's all going to work out the way that you want it to,
Right.
because Murphy is a
No.
motherfucker.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? He is. And
Yes.
you'll sit there and you'll think that
Yep.
everything's going to go right and everything's going to go wrong. So you have to be prepared for that. And
Yep.
and
Like
don't
Rowan
get
said to do.
discouraged. A lot of people sit there. If you're going to do this, a lot of people sit there and they get discouraged really fast. They try to do one or two breedings. The breedings don't go the
Yeah.
way they want.
It's like,
They
I
sit
said I
there.
quit.
Yeah, and they're just like, oh, this ain't for me. If that's how you feel, then leave it alone,
Yeah.
because it's really not for you.
But
Because
if
there have been
you don't
times,
want to let go, yeah, then
there have
obviously,
been times where I've sat there and I'm like, Lord, what is happening? But I know that the passion is right. I know
yeah,
that the devotion is right. I know that I
yeah,
have those things.
yeah,
I
you're
know that
in
I
it.
have the ability and I have the capacity to push past the adversities that pop up. There's adversities that are going to pop up in everything you do. Everything. There is going
Come
to
on.
be some type of resistance. You have to keep yourself solid.
Yep.
Sometimes you have to be your own biggest cheerleader and be like, I ain't gonna let this stuff get me down. I know what I want to do. I know where I want to be. Don't give
Yeah.
up fast. Pursue it. Pursue it the way you pursue things that you love, and it'll work. But don't be easy to just fold. A lot of people fold fast, and that's not how this works.
Yep.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's just not.
I
That's
believe it.
probably
No,
the
man,
best. That's the best advice I could possibly give someone. Is that, like I said, I've been through a lot. Even when I went through my cancer stuff, I sat there and for a couple of seconds I thought about it. I was like, I can't take care of my dogs. I'm going to be going through chemo. I
yeah,
am not going to be able to be strong enough to play with them, to train them, to do and I refused to let that dictate and take away something that brought me so much joy. And
yeah,
I said, I'm going to do the absolute best I can to hold this ship together so that it don't sink. And I believe, I mean, I I couldn't stand up, but you know what? I would sit on the floor, and I would set up a rug, and I would
whatever
sit
it
there with
takes.
Maximus, and I would
Okay.
stack him, and you know, like I went through it, and I refused to give up because, you know, life is going to hit you hard, and you can't sit there and ask, why me? Why not me?
Yeah.
What makes me better than anybody else? Now, if I truly
I
love
love that
something and I
mentality.
truly believe that this is for me, I'm not going to let anything except the Lord take it away from me. And the only way that's going to happen is if I'm not breathing.
Yep.
So,
Hmm.
you know, you have to believe. You have to believe that the thing that you're pumping your energy into is the right thing and it's for you. If you're quick to fold, then it's not for you.
That's
Let
Yep.
it
right.
go. You know what I'm saying? Let it
Yep.
go.
Here it is. I'm here for it.
Powerful words. I love it.
Yep.
Yes, sir. She went deep.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
but that's how this is, though. It is deep and it's
Yeah.
real, and there are feelings, and there's expectations, and there's a lot of things wrapped up in this. And if you can't navigate the waters, even when they're rough, and still hold on to what you believe in, then it's not for you. I'm not that type of person. I'll bend what I won't break. Don't
right.
let shit
There
break
we
you.
go.
You know what I mean? Don't let stuff break you. You can't.
That's
Not if you got dreams and you got aspirations. You can't.
I love it.
So,
Love
Yeah.
it. Well, again, like this has been a long time coming, and I am so glad that you were willing to finally let me talk you into doing this.
I know.
'Cause, yeah, again,
It's been a long time coming. But
you're
I definitely, I won't shy away if you ask me to come back.
there we
So,
go.
There we
Hey,
Oh,
go.
you
Come
gonna come
on.
back?
like I said, I'm not gonna sit here and be a hypocrite and talk some shit and then not, back it up. So I would be open to doing it again.
hey, I
The
love that.
the
No, that
the
makes me feel good because,
yeah,
like,
the
again,
bubble's been bursted. So now we'll take it from here.
I love it. That makes me happy because, again, we try to, make sure that the people that we bring on here, they're positive. They
Yeah,
try to give back to the community in every way possible. Even if they feel like it's
it is.
minuscule at best, it's not.
Yeah.
Every little bit is bigger than you could have possibly imagined. So
Mhm.
again, thank you for being you. Thank you for,
Always.
coming out and doing what you do every single time.
Yeah.
And even in, the face of adversity, you still manage to be who you are, in the lives of everybody else. And you've created a legacy that, will go on. So I definitely appreciate you, and we will, definitely look forward to seeing you at the next show.
Yeah. Yes, just like
So,
you'll just find me set up with all my tables and
yes,
all my
ma'am.
little knickknacks and stuff, and
Both
you
tables,
know.
2, maybe even up to 3 eventually.
Oh
We're
Lord,
getting there.
girl,
We're
if it
getting
gets
there. We're
up to
getting there.
three, I don't know. I'm just gonna set them up and walk away because
She's gonna be up
it's
to 4. She's
then
gonna
I'm
be
boxed
boxed
in.
in.
I
Her and
can't get
Jason
out.
boxed in.
Yeah, you gonna see Jason in
Brilliant.
the corner like mad as hell.
Oh, shit. But yeah, so thank you again, and everybody. If you need to get in touch with her, it's super easy. She, just you have a
Facebook,
Facebook. I know that much.
Facebook.
Do you also have like an Instagram or anything like that?
I have an Instagram. It's whenever somebody messages me on Insta, it pops up on my Facebook, so they're connected. I'm not a big
Meta.
Instagram head, but I will pop in there if I see that I've got messages and stuff. The easiest way to get a hold of me is just sit there and message me on Facebook. I'm like super duper responsive. I get back to people quick.
Glorious.
So
Cool.
I
just
love it. So
find
yeah,
me on there,
advice
and
leads. Yeah,
you
that's
know.
that's that's how you do it. I love
Mhm.
it. Well, again, thank you, for the bravery it took to come on, and we definitely look forward to the opportunity of having you on again.
Okay.
But definitely looking forward to seeing you next
Okay.
show.
Sounds good. Thank you
I've
guys for
truly
having
enjoyed
me.
this,
All right,
Teresa.
guys.
Literally, thank you guys
Like
again.
always, don't we? Ain't we always clowning though?
Always,
Yeah.
always.
So
It wouldn't be right if we didn't. It wouldn't be right if
you
we
gotta
didn't.
have fun. You have to have fun. It has to be fun.
100%.
So, like I said,
100%. I
I've
agree.
enjoyed this because it's the same energy that we have at the shows, and it ain't no
Exactly.
different. You know.
Hey, I'm
Yep.
gonna message you the flyer and message me
Yes.
Jason's number.
Yes.
Seriously, I
Yes.
would
Yes.
love
Yes.
to
Yes.
get in
Yes.
contact with him.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes,
I'm finna send Jason's digits so that way you can harass him, so you can
there
he'll
we
make
go.
his little self
Definitely
come over
harass
there.
him is what she's saying. Definitely.
And
Yes.
mention barbecue. It will go fine. Now, trust me, it
They
will work.
coming if there's
It will be
barbecue. Just
good.
saying. Just
The way
saying. Just
to his
saying.
heart, BBQ, baby.
Keep
Oh
that.
man,
Keep
yeah,
that.
that's what I'm
BBQ.
talking about. Yep, exactly. Well, thank you guys so
All
much
right.
for having me. I had fun.
Good night.
Absolutely. Pleasure's all ours. Believe me
All
when
All
I
right.
right,
say it.
guys.
All
It
right.
was
All right, you
awesome.
guys. I'll put
Peace.
this up on the YouTube. Thank you again.
All right.